Hello, my name is Robert, and this video is being made for Chateau Adventure. My wife and I had decided a long time ago that we wanted to travel around by RV, and my wife, being a teacher, had those 2 months off in the summer, but I had to work, and my basic concern was I needed to be able to have internet connection wherever I was. And so, lo and behold, Starlink comes along, and I didn't quite trust Starlink, and I wasn't sure about the reviews I was reading until I set up a dish for my father in Apachee, Florida, who is just about 5 miles away from decent internet. And after that experience, it sold me. I figured out I could get 2 to 200 megabyte download speeds, and upload isn't great, but it's good enough for the purposes I needed. And that decided that we could then get the RV, and then we could travel. So we got the RV, we're getting it set up, and one of the last things I needed to do was to get the satellite dish. We're not leaving for about 2 months, but I wanted to be able to make sure that I could get it, pack it up, and put it in the RV and forget it. The first issue with the satellite dish is when you get it, I found out from setting up my father's, they mail it to you in a box, and in the box there is a kit number. You have to record that kit number. There's a kit number and there's a number on the back of the satellite dish. You'll need those two things to set up your satellite. I found out through a snafu with my father that we lost the ability to log in, and they won't speak to you unless you have those two numbers written down someplace, so be sure to record them. The first piece of equipment I wanted to get was the tripod. I went with this JOILCAN AH75. The reason I went with it was because it has these adjustable feet at the bottom so that I can mount it on the roof of the RV, I can mount it out and about someplace with no problem at all. It has multiple heights that I can set it at, so I can get up over bushes or shrubbery rather than leaving it right against the ground. And then there was this hook at the bottom of the tripod, and I wanted that hook because tripods are great for support and stability of something. The problem is if you get a breeze that's in line with two of the legs, it becomes very unstable. So a wind could pick it up and push it over fairly easily. So my plan is to take a collapsible water bucket, put a strap on it, strap it on here, not put any real weight on it, just make sure it's tensioned so that if this tries to move, you've got, even if it's 2 pounds of water, you've got 16 pounds holding this down. So I went with that, and then the color, I went with orange because I'm notorious for being out on the site. You start getting tired, and I'm talking about work. So if I'm tired and I'm at work and I'm out and I'm doing what I need to do, as I'm leaving, if there's a case or a backpack that's black or gray, I have forgotten them. I have had to make trips back an hour or better to go pick them up. So I go with bright colors just to make sure that I don't forget something as I'm leaving. The Starlink itself comes with the dish, the cord, an AC adapter, and then it comes with 2 separate mounts, a pole mount and then just a regular stand. With the mounts, in order to attach the pole mount to a tripod, separate companies sell this little disc that fits inside. It's great. I've got one that was aluminum because I didn't want it to rust or have issues with it. The only problem is these people made this thing exactly the size it needs to go in. They should have left some space because you've got this screw to tighten it down anyway. I had to put oil on it, and then I had to tap it into place, and it took some serious effort. I was afraid I was going to bust up the plastic. Luckily it went in. The other thing it has is it has a screw hole on the backside, or it just has a hole so that you can tighten the screw down into it. I wish they had made that hole longer so that more of this wasn't sticking out. And that's really just a pet peeve for when you're going to store it later. I'm not taking this out and screwing this down, I'm gonna leave it in place. But then this little screw neck sticks out and gets in the way. With the dish, I was afraid again that this might fall over and it might get hurt, so Veritas Vans makes these surrounds. I'll go ahead and link descriptions to all of this below, but with just a few screws, this black piece comes off, you set the dish in, and then it holds it down. This Veritas cover, I'm not concerned about it getting damaged in any way, or if it gets scratched up, I don't really care what it looks like. It comes with attachments. It comes with these attachments that are little plungers. You put it on the front side, then you can put it on glass. So if you have a skylight in your van, you can go ahead and put that up there, pump this down, and it'll attach, and you can see videos online where people have those speeds available. It's really pretty amazing. The other thing it had, and the reason that I got it, were these magnetic legs. So you put the magnetic legs on the bottom, then I can throw this on the hood of the van when we're camping, and have that way of mounting it if I didn't want to pull this out and run it wherever I was going to run it. Veritas Vans also sends it with the car adapter, so you can plug it into the cigarette lighter of your vehicle. There's a lot of information out there about some of them not being good enough for 100 watts. You have to have 100 watts consistently in order for the plugs to actually work with the Starlink, even though it only draws maybe 20 to 40 watts. And it got me to thinking while I was doing that, why are they going through all of that trouble when old school? I still had one of these guys sitting around. This one's good up to 150 watts. I have another one that's good up to 300 watts. I'm going to bring this along in case I ever need it for anything. You can just throw it in and plug it in. But I still have house power. So whether I needed this or that is really, I won't know until we start traveling. The case, I went with this Apachee 4800 rugged mobility case. I did some searching, and I went over to the hardware store, and I found a case that was like $27, and it looked like it might work. It did not have a foam piece against the edges, so against the top and the bottom, and I thought that was going to be needed, so I went with this one. I like the way it is. I don't know that I'll be traveling in planes and things, and for the little bumps and things that this might take, I think this is going to be a great case. I did not make a video of cutting up all this foam. It comes packed with foam, and then you can put it in whatever configuration you want. That was probably 2 hours of me pushing and pulling things around and figuring out how I wanted to mount it. At the end of the day, I went with order of operations. What's the first thing that I'm going to need to put my hands on? That'll be on top. The last thing I need, that'll be on the bottom. And so the very first thing on the bottom was going to be these magnetic legs. So I took out the piece from the bottom because I'm not worried about these getting destroyed, and I made little cutouts for them so it can sit in the bottom. Note for the wise, don't wonder how strong these magnets are and just put them together like this. I did that. It takes pliers and some decent force to get them off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put those in. This foam is pretty thick, and they have these metal posts. So I took the portions that I cut out, and then I cut them in half so that I put them on top like a topper to just protect whatever was going to sit on top. And at the time, I didn't have a plan for that. But go ahead and put those in. For the small mount, I was able to cut down just halfway so that it has some cushion still on the bottom. The bigger one, I cut this portion out, and then I cut it in half so I could put a piece of foam on top of that. That piece I actually left upstairs, so I don't have access. But, so I take this piece, and go ahead and throw it in here. Then the next pieces I'll need are going to be the wires, so they go in like so. Then I go ahead and I take my plungers, and I only put 2 on each level. And because of the way that they're made, I couldn't quite get them to all line up. So then I've just got some buffer pieces here. And I have one large piece, which I should have left on the back side, because I didn't actually end up needing all of that room. And I go ahead and grab the dish, turn it upside down. The reason I turn it upside down is just in case there's any of these plastic surfaces that come in contact with it. If it scrapes this side up, I don't really care too much about that. And then that fits fine and flat just like that. Take another small piece, I put it over the top of the two suction cup pieces that I have in there. And I can put my last two suction cups. Take my last foam piece and put it in. So the last thing I had was the power adapter. This is actually very thick, so what I did is I made a small portion that I could then put at the bottom just to make sure this has extra cushion. So put that in, put it down. This piece just separates the dish from the suction cups. And then me and my boneheadedness, I forgot about this Allen key. And I was going to use a piece of Velcro and I was going to take this off and put it against the plastic cover. But the way that this foam system comes is it's basically built as a grid. You can see you can break it apart like that. So all I'm doing is taking the Allen key and just sticking it down in that foam grid. No problem at all. And last but not least, you just take the cover, close it, and there you have it. So then when I go out, all I have to do is stow my tripod, because I am who I am, I go ahead and I keep all these little plastic bags that it comes with to make sure that I can store my things inside of. And that's primarily a concern about moisture and the RV and the storage. Over time, I'll probably throw those away. But then that's it. In order to travel or to pack this up, all I need are those two things, and I'm good to go. I also like the fact that this came with a bag with a handle, so that say I needed this like 50 feet away from the RV for some reason, you just grab the bag and you grab this and you lift them up and you're gone. And then when you want to set up, just go ahead, pull that out, you take out your dish, you grab whichever mount you need, you mount that to this or you mount it to here, you grab your cord, your plug, and then you're good to go. And that's my video. And that's the Apachee 4800 storage bin and the Veritas Surround and the Starlink Mini.